Welcome everyone to the podcast. I'm your host Ryan, where we talk hoops. My segment today is how The Last Dance changed my perspective on basketball. Without further ado, take it away, Jimmy. Starting on this first podcast, I kind of wanted to give you guys a little backstory about me. I've grown up in California my whole life, but it's kind of strange enough, I didn't really start enjoying sports until I was 10 years old. I was that big chunky kid that didn't want anyone to touch him or things like that, and sports was just never my thing, my passion, my nothing. I think I could have gone my whole life without playing sports. What got me into basketball was the 2007 NBA playoffs when I saw Baron Davis dunk on Andre Kirilenko. Oh man, what a time. My dad had it on the TV at the time because he was watching basketball, and I saw that and I was like, wow, that's what's going on. That's what basketball's about. Let me get in on this. Let me join. Let me see what I can do. My eyes got wide and I was hooked. To think that someone could just fly like that into another man was incredible. My dad was from New York, though he grew up a Laker fan most of his life. So, me being his son, I also grew up a Laker fan. My favorite player, pretty easy, the late great Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. He is my favorite player. He could do no wrong. I'm trying to remember, I believe I started watching him maybe 2008 is when I got around there. So, I was there around for the Kwame Brown, Smush Parker, Brian Cook, the bad days when it wasn't good. It wasn't great. But he was my favorite player growing up, and still is my favorite player no matter what. But I was taught, learning basketball, that Michael Jordan was the GOAT, the undisputed GOAT, and there was no way going around that. At the time, I had never really watched a game of his. I guess was a little ignorant about him. It's not that I didn't necessarily not want to watch him, but all I'd seen was highlights and the iconic, tongue stick out and he's flying through the air. You only see the best moments, of course, of greats like that. So I had no, all I knew was he was a terrible owner and he doesn't make great draft picks whatsoever. And that's all I knew of my NBA knowledge of him. But watching The Last Dance, and at the time of recording, episode 5 and 6 haven't come out yet, but watching The Last Dance and just seeing how Michael Jordan was not only NBA, but in high school a little, but in college, he was already amazing. He was, wow, I couldn't believe it. And being a millennial, he wasn't my generation's player. We had other players and things like that. I had never seen a game of his. I didn't know the full. I knew he left and came back and things like that. So watching the documentary, I got it. I was like, wow. I thought this NBA that we were in was the NBA. Like, this is how boys play. This is how we did it. No. Was I wrong? Seeing how physical and violent they were, and seeing how it was really a game, and the hand check rule didn't exist, and you could hand check all day long and put hands on, and a hard foul wasn't a hard foul. It was just you play on, you get up. That's something that you can really only get at the parks these days. Whereas if you go in the NBA, what was used to be a hard foul is now a flagrant, and you're out of the game. And you could fight back then. You could fight. And it wasn't suspension. It wasn't a loss of money or anything like that. It was, you fought, carry on. Nowadays, you fight, if you want to call it a fight, because most people now just kind of swing or just push and shove. You might end up on the floor, who knows, and that's that. Also, I believe most dudes are smart enough to not fight because they know that's the money on the line. And, all those technicals that Draymond Green and players of that nature get, that money adds up, especially when it changes your reputation. But I digress. Just seeing Michael Jordan, as humble as he was back then as well, was insane, and it was something that, as a millennial, I feel like I really needed to see to truly understand what was going on. But Michael Jordan is not only the GOAT, but that generation's greatest player. For me, my generation's greatest player would be Kobe. For the kids growing up, their next generation's player would be LeBron James. After that, and even that, you could throw in Kevin Durant too, a little bit. But I think Michael Jordan it's just different. Kobe is probably the closest clone that we will ever get to Michael Jordan when it comes to his work ethic and the way he put the game over anything else. That is probably the closest we will ever get. LeBron, as great as he is, it's not Jordan. It's just the passion and the fight. Jordan willed himself from a injury that if he got hurt from that same injury again, he had a 10% chance of not playing again. And he said, I'll take them odds. Just nowadays it's, load management, or, I hurt my hand, or things like that. But players are different. It's a whole different ball game. Yes, you have also Steph Curry, one of his biggest generation's players. But Steph Curry is different in another way. He made it so that normal-looking people and people who aren't that tall can do crazy things. If I remember correctly, Steph is only about 6'2", 6'3", can't really dunk. But the amazing, crazy shots that Steph can do are insane. And he has changed the game forever in terms of three-pointers and long-distance bombs and things like that. Kyrie Irving, his handles are like no other, and nobody could stop him. It's incredible. And I don't think we've seen handles like that in a long time. Unless you count maybe and Street Ballers, for example. But they're not in the league. And then you have Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant will easily go down as one of the greatest players of all time as well. But they're no Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was the GOAT. The greatest of all time. And this documentary, if it didn't need to be proved already, has definitely proved everybody wrong. And I know with quarantine, it is also one of the only big things we can watch on TV right now. But man, it couldn't have come at a better time. They really took some time, this production, and it just shows, Kobe will forever be my greatest favorite player of all time. But if you haven't watched this documentary, you should. It just proves to everyone that Michael Jordan is the GOAT, and there will never be another athlete like him.